When the news of the deaths of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and many others came into our homes through our TV screens, we were shocked. Every time we were shocked. We are shocked at the overt racism, anger, and hatred that we see in the faces and actions of so many white people. And I have to admit, every time I see a white person disrespect, hurt, or kill a black person, there is a moment when I think, oh God, they look like me. And it makes me really mad. I am appalled that they look like me. They come from towns very much like the one in which I grew up. And like me, many go to church and proudly wear the name of Christian. It's too close. They look too much like me. And I am shocked. But the reality of the situation is that many of my friends and colleagues are not shocked. They are hurt and they are tired, really tired, but not shocked. Not shocked because this has been their life for far too long, and they live with the threat of racism every day. The hatred and the prejudice is ever present for them. But I, and people who look like me, have the luxury of not having to see it or deal with it until the images come into my home through my TV, and they look like me, and I'm horrified. Anger, horror, rage are all appropriate responses. I think they are moral and ethical responses. But how do I express that anger and the rage? Those are right emotions, but if I'm not careful, I am very capable of expressing those very appropriate responses in very inappropriate, wrong, hurtful, and holier than thou ways. And then I hear the voice of John Lewis when talking about the times he was beaten during the civil rights movement of the 60s. He says that he never hated the person with the club. I know he is right, but I'm still trying to find that kind of grace. Martin Luther King Jr., he said it. John Lewis said it. Gandhi said it. Jesus said it. Our fight for justice has to be guided not by hatred and despair, but by love and hope. I want to find that path in our world today, to fight against hatred and bigotry and prejudice and racism in all its forms. And I want that fight to be fueled by God's grace and God's love. Love truly is more powerful than hate. I believe that. I want to learn to live it. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus talked about love for enemies. He said, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be children of your parent who is in heaven. For God makes the sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers and sisters, what more are you doing than others?" Showing up for rallies and holding signs are very good things to do. But in the end, it is how we choose to live each and every day of our life. It is our relationships, our conversations, what we teach in the classroom and in the workplace, where we put our money, our energy, our time, standing up and speaking out. These are the things that will change the world. Berea College is not a perfect place, but we have great commitments and a motto that call us each day to put our words of equality and impartial love into action. We are dedicated to education and the broadening of horizons. In February 1878, our founder, John G. V., explained to the New York Times that, and I quote, "Practical, impartial education, co-education, is the only way to prevent a war of the races. Those who pray together and study together will not fight." End quote. I want to put my hope in that. I believe V knew what he was talking about. What we do here does make a difference. Berea College is made up of people, all kinds of people, living, working, and studying side by side. And it is just for such a time as this that we must continue to stand against prejudice and racism. Stand with grace and tenacity and hope, which only love can provide. So what should we do in the face of tragic events that can so easily send us into despair? We keep doing what we do, and we do it with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. Again, hear the words of Jesus when he talks about light and salt. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to God in heaven. Berea College is a light set on a hill, literally, and it is our job, our calling, every day to be light and salt in this world. The Gospel of John says, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." But lest I fall into that holier-than-thou trap that is so very appealing, another Jesus lesson comes to my mind. Jesus said that you can't take the speck out of your neighbor's eye if you don't first deal with the log that is in your own eye. So first, I pray that I will have the strength and the humility to see the difficult reality of my own sin, my own racism, and my own prejudice. To see the times when I failed to see, or hear, or speak, or act. And then I pray for our brothers and sisters who have to deal every day with acts and attitudes of racism that come toward them. And thirdly, and this is the hard one, I pray for the people who participate in acts and words of hatred and racism. I pray that the light and truth of God's love will shine into their darkness and set them free, free to love and free to see the beauty of all God's people. This is my hope, that we will be that light of truth and love set on a hill for all to see. This is my hope, that the truth and light of God's love will live through our words, our actions, our everyday lives, and that we will all of us, be free indeed. It is good to gather together as a community, even if it's virtually. It is in our togetherness that we draw strength and power from each other. When you feel you are really ready to fall into despair, remember this moment and know that you are not alone. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Through God was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not and will not overcome it. As we part, remember, you have the light of God in you. So wherever you go and whatever you do, may the light, truth, and love and hope shine through you for all the world to see. Amen.